There's another case out of London that shows fraudsters are going global with their dirty money and how they try to make it look clean. Meet Eric Agyeman, a 46-year-old man from May Street, London, who has been jailed after using scam COVID support money to run business operations in Ghana. Back in 2020, when the UK government set up the bounce back loan scheme to help struggling companies, Agyeman saw an opportunity in the chaos. The government meant the loans for real businesses that needed help surviving. But Agyeman's company, Doke Logistics UK Limited, never traded. He fabricated turnover figures. He claimed the company was bringing in hundreds of thousands, though nothing real was happening. Because of those fake numbers, he secured £130,000 across 3 separate loan applications. Then came the move. Agyeman transferred more than £40,000 of the stolen money into a trading scheme tied to Ghana. He would buy goods in the UK, ship them to an associate in Ghana, and get a commission on the sales. The goods would be sold in Ghana, the cash converted back, and sometimes visitors brought back the proceeds physically into the UK. On the 9th of September, 2025, he was sentenced at the Old Bailey to 2 years and 2 months in prison after pleading guilty to fraud and money laundering. Also, he's banned from being a company director for 5 years. The Insolvency Service is now trying to recover the stolen funds under the Proceeds of Crime Act. David Snasdale of the Insolvency Service said that Agyeman treated the loan scheme like a cash cow, ignoring the purpose of the scheme, and just made up turnover numbers. The purpose was clear: use government help designed to save real businesses during pandemic struggles, then divert it to line his own pockets. With business in Africa as cover, this case hits too close to home for fraud boys in Ghana or Nigeria. It shows how sneaky laundering has become. Not just romance scams or fake invoices anymore. Now people grab government bailout money, then route it through trading in Ghana to make it seem like legitimate business. The lesson: using Ghana as a destination for fake trading schemes isn't new, but it's dangerous. Because once goods are shipped, there's often no rigorous question about where the money came from. Goods enter, get sold, cash comes in, and the fraudster looks legit until the law catches up. If you think government schemes are safe from being abused, think again. When desperation meets opportunity, some people will exploit both. And this shows that international fraudsters are looking everywhere, including Ghana, to wash their dirty cash. When the world shut down in 2020, panic spread faster than the virus itself. Airports were closed, shops were shuttered, and millions of people suddenly had no income. Governments had 2 choices: move slowly and risk total collapse, or move fast and push money into the system with fewer checks. They chose speed. That decision saved lives in the short term, but it also opened the floodgates to one of the biggest waves of fraud in modern history. The loan rush. Emergency loan schemes were designed to keep businesses alive. In the UK, the bounce back loan scheme offered quick cash with minimal paperwork. In the US, the Paycheck Protection Program gave businesses funds to keep paying workers. The problem was that fraudsters saw these schemes as free money. Some created fake companies on paper overnight. Others took dormant companies that hadn't operated for years and dressed them up with forged bank statements and tax returns. A single person could apply for multiple loans using stolen identities. Because the applications weren't carefully checked, thousands of these were approved. The money didn't go into wages or rent. It went into luxury lifestyles. Range Rovers, Lamborghinis, Rolex watches, penthouses, overseas trips. By the time authorities caught up, the money was gone. In the UK alone, billions were written off as unrecoverable. Relief fund exploits. Beyond loans, there were grants. Self-employed workers, small shop owners, landlords, and ordinary citizens could apply for relief funds. Here too, fraudsters pounced. Fake paperwork became the norm: tax returns, utility bills, rental agreements, all forged to create eligibility. There were also cases where insiders at government offices acted as helpers, pushing fraudulent applications through in exchange for a cut. Because officials were overwhelmed with applications, many approvals slipped through unnoticed. This was organized fraud, not just a few isolated cases. The PPE gold rush, perhaps the most chaotic area, was the scramble for personal protective equipment. Hospitals and governments were desperate for masks, gloves, gowns, and ventilators. In that desperation, oversight disappeared. Middlemen who had never dealt with medical supplies before suddenly became millionaires. Some offered stock they didn't have, others delivered substandard goods, masks that didn't filter, gloves that tore easily, and even expired items. Yet, governments were paying in advance, often hundreds of millions at a time. Some contracts were signed without proper vetting. Politically connected individuals, friends, relatives, or business partners of government officials secured massive deals, sometimes through a single phone call. Many of these contracts failed, but the money was already gone. Unemployment, identity theft, fraud also thrived in unemployment benefit systems. In the US alone, billions were lost because fraudsters filed claims using stolen social security numbers. Criminal networks used hacked databases or simply bought personal information online and submitted thousands of claims in bulk. Payments were approved automatically and often sent to prepaid debit cards or offshore accounts before detection. Some scams became industrialized, with fraud rings operating like legitimate businesses, dividing roles among hackers, document forgers, money mules, and recruiters, and entire communities of online criminals specializing in targeting COVID-19 relief systems. Vaccine fraud. When vaccines became the new global priority, fraudsters switched focus. Some posed as suppliers, collecting deposits from desperate governments and health facilities. Others sold counterfeit or unauthorized vaccines on the black market, putting lives at risk. Emails and calls promising direct access to vaccine stock flooded ministries of health worldwide. In many cases, these were scams. Why it worked? COVID-19 fraud succeeded because of a perfect storm. Governments prioritized speed over security. Verification systems were overwhelmed and often switched off. Fraudsters were highly organized, using technology, fake documents, and networks of accomplices. Public desperation meant people and governments alike were less careful. By the end of the pandemic, billions of dollars that should have supported struggling families, small businesses, and frontline hospitals had instead fueled luxury lifestyles, organized crime, and offshore bank accounts.
This is where to the water we're drinking. A man show the governors and all these people, yeah? Yeah, this is what the madam are drinking. I don't know if you can see that. This is after we've boiled the water, you know.
All that shit coming out of that, you see that?
Yeah, and that's why they're selling us water on the canteen, yeah, for 95 people, 2 liters.
Look at all that stuff coming out.
But they know they're poisoning us, and when you tell them about it, they say buy some water.